work, how to get through a situation, and that's a parallel of the kind of experience we want our students to go through with a more guided, structured kind of step process. Now, with that, I'm going to show you what the schedule looks like, and that'll continue the conversation into what the students would experience in this problem-based learning situation. You'll notice here that the 6th grade starts here, and we've got these blocks called academic coursework. That might be math, it might be language, it might be social studies or science, and that can change depending on what we see as the necessary focuses. Exploratory classes would still be an option that students can take, and then this integrated curriculum and project-based block, that's more the collaborative time for students to work together on a project that either the teachers choose or that the students would choose. By design, the 6th grade is a little bit more isolated or separated. There's less chance for overlap and collaboration, whereas the 7th and 8th graders would have that chance to work together on chosen projects. In 6th grade, students will understandably need some more guidance, and we'll provide that. By 7th and 8th grade, they'll have experienced what it's like to pick out a project and work on it and work through it. And there's some time for overlap. And we can answer some questions on the schedule after a little bit.
So Dan, can I ask a question? So the blue stuff up there, the academic coursework, you said that this might be those skill areas, math, for example, that might not integrate well with that thematic unit or that project. So they might not make sense to have it in integration. So that would be taught skill-based, kind of in isolation. Or it could be science, and then down here, if it works well for social studies science, they're combined.
Absolutely. And what this provides is the flexibility that you might not get in the regular 8-period class or schedule at middle school, where students would go from one subject to the next at the end of 47 minutes. This allows us for flexibility and fluidity in project exploration. There's still teacher-led instruction. There's still focus lessons that deliver the content. The projects help students to explore those different areas. Now, again, with that schedule, that allows us to take community learning experiences where we can take our students out of the classroom, into the community, working with businesses and organizations, because there are people in this room, there are businesses and organizations that have experience that is meaningful and can help students learn by showing how what we learn in math with percentage applies to the business world or applies to a service learning project. And so that schedule allows us to welcome in guest experts, or, as I said, take our students out into the community. So we go from the schedule line for community contribution, and we really focus on, again, through the projects and through the guided process of learning a project, how do students use the tools that are out there? We don't just say, all right, go on the internet and find out about water quality. We're looking to teach kids how to be critical about the information that we find on the internet. Is it a reputable source? How do you identify what is a good source of information or what might not be a good source? And that's where these 21st century skills come in. And this is the final bit of literature that I'm going to show you. And that has to do with the ISTE standards. This is just a reference point for the types of skills that we'll be focusing on through the incorporation of projects. What types of things, what types of skills are we hoping students will take away? Are we encouraging and setting as a goal for students to take away? And so that would be, I'm not going to go through the list, you can read through that. But part of that is the process that students will go through to design an individual or collaborative project, set goals, monitor those goals, and then when they're through, revisit those goals. I'm going to introduce Jenny Kennecke here, and she'll talk a little bit about how we would work with students to identify their individual goals and how important relationships are in Fox West Academy.
And with that, can you go back to the schedule, please? The component that I'm most excited about with our Jenny Kennecke, I teach 6th grade at Criminal Special Systems first start. The component that I'm most excited about with the Fox West Academy is our tagline, which you can see on the folder there, a collaborative learning community. The part of the schedule that we're going to incorporate daily is an advisory section where we will meet in small groups, teacher with a small group of students daily as part of the schedule to work with them on an individual learning plan. So we'll sit down with the students, parents will be incorporated into that conversation several times a quarter, and develop goals beyond academic and then also beyond that, working with others, time management, time on task, research skills, critical thinking skills, and then have them set goals. And it won't be like to go from, I don't understand time management, to in the end of 6 weeks, you're going to be perfect with your time management. But what are the steps that we can do to get your students there? And how can we assist with that? And so we'll start off each morning with just kind of a check-in time. So we have that time in our schedule that it actually means we're supposed to check in with each student. And it's not just a sit down at your desk and be quiet kind of time while I'm getting my desk organized for the first lesson of the day. And then at the end of every day, there's a group check-in time or a scheduled community building time or something where we come together as a group and really work on our goals and focus as a collaborative community. So that's the part that I'm really excited about incorporating into our daily schedule rather than trying to make it work or eliminating another part of the schedule so that we can make that work. So it's really a individual-based plan. You'll have a piece of paper and we'll sit down and we'll write those goals together and work on progressing through that system. So not only working on academic systems, but the other skills that are important that the work world is looking for. And then when your student is going for a job interview, being able to answer that question when you sit down for an interview. So tell me what you do to manage your time. They'll have had those discussions with adults already so that they can answer those questions much more professionally in those job interviews and accurately.
Or another cool aspect of that for myself is you have some kids that academically are doing quite well. An area they might struggle on is maybe anxiety. Maybe they're a student that just, they're good students, they mean well, but they're, as a teenager, they're wrestling with how to just with anxiety. And that's another opportunity, if that's a goal set that the student and the parents want, we can kind of work with the student on that in addition to those academic skills. Because it's something that is the whole child aspect.
And leadership skills. You know, sometimes it'll be, okay, maybe the next step for your student will be to participate in a group discussion rather than just be the listener. And sometimes we might take that listener, that person that's discussing, and be like, okay, I want you to, be a leader in the next discussion that we have. And then it might be okay, I need you to back off from being a leader and listen to other people's ideas and let's run with that. So there's all different types of changing of the goals that work with there. So, and you can see that would be at the end of every day here where we'll work on.
One thing that when Dan talked about those thinking, these ISTE standards, as there is already, there's going to be a lot of technology incorporated into the learning of the school. And